Hey YouTube, we're coming at you here with the Brooklyn Nets trading away James Harden and acquiring Ben Simmons. We had a recent video come out about the Sixers and kind of thinking about it from their perspective, looking at their cap sheet moving forward. Right now, this will be a short video on the Nets and their perspective and what we should expect from them moving on for the rest of the season. Before we get into it, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, all those fun things. Comment on the video, tell me where I'm wrong about my Nets take. And let's get into it. All right, so to start off, I was never a big believer that this trade was even going to happen. I thought it was not going to be really an option for Philadelphia or for Brooklyn, just because I was prepared to allow the season to play out. If I were the GM, I would be prepared to play the season out unless Harden straight up told me that he didn't want to be here anymore. Then yeah, I would say, okay, well, I guess I have no other option than to trade you, but I would probably avoid maybe trading you to the team that is in the division. So I just never really bought into these rumors. Obviously, there was Brian Windhorst coming out and saying like, hey, they're talking. And then the Woj comes out and says, well, no, they're not actually talking. And so it was just really confusing. I would have wanted Matisse Thybulle as well. It doesn't look like, Brooklyn was able to receive that at all. Maybe not even an option. But they receive Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, 2 future firsts. And again, they have the option here to defer the 2022 first rounder from Philadelphia to 2023. So let's get into it. So Brooklyn receives Ben Simmons, who has not yet played a game this year. Obviously, his friction between the 76ers organization and himself is, well documented. But the one thing I really worry about here with Brooklyn is just the fact that they are obviously getting the second best player in the trade. They let go of the best player in the trade. I just wonder, not to doubt that Simmons hasn't been playing basketball from the beginning of the season to now. I think he has. I think he probably has been working out and all that. I just really wonder how long a kind of a learning period it will take for Simmons, especially with Kyrie out of the lineup. I don't doubt that this team will be good. I just wonder how much are they going to continue to slip in the standings with KD being out, with Kyrie missing home games, and now with Simmons, because there will be games likely, right? Like Simmons was going to start playing here like within this week, given, depending on if he's in game shape. But maybe you hold him out to the All-Star game in a week, or till after the All-Star break, I should say. So just interesting. It'll be really weird to see how he looks in the Nets jersey. It will also be interesting to see kind of where they put him on the floor. I think it's a really good fit. I know it sounds like I don't, but I think it's a really good fit. I think for me, Brooklyn did as good as they could, because I just don't know if they would have gotten a player at Simmons' All-Star caliber from a different team. I don't know if they would have gotten that from wherever. So that being said, let's talk about the other 2 players that they're getting in the trade, along with the future compensation of picks that they're getting. So Seth Curry had improved his ball handling skills here for the Sixers this season. Obviously, we know how much of a dead-eye shooter he is, so he adds that element to Brooklyn. Andre Drummond is honestly just kind of a name at this point. I don't think he'll break really into the rotational at all. It's not like he's going to start and play 30 minutes. He might get 15 minutes every now and then, but he's not going to be a guy that they feature and play a lot of minutes to. And then they get these 2 future firsts, which are kind of interesting because Brooklyn is in a situation where we're going to look at their cap sheet. In fact, let's look at their cap sheet now. Let's pull it up. Whoop. So James Harden, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid. That is Philadelphia. I'm so dumb. Here's Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Nets have the following cap sheet: Kevin Durant, Kyrie, who still needs to sign his extension, Ben Simmons, and then Joe Harris's contract, and then you got the money of Seth Curry, Patty Mills, Bruce Brown. I think it would be within the team's best interest to be able to sign Bruce Brown, re-sign him, But then they have Cameron Thomas and Day'Ron Sharpe and Nick Claxton, who they've enjoyed playing this year. They also will have these few future firsts that they maybe can bring in and play. So their cap situation doesn't look too different. Here's the interesting thing, and I briefly talked about this in the Sixers video. The Nets won't have to pay that huge number to Harden this upcoming offseason or next offseason. And I wonder how much flexibility that gives them rather than just keeping Harden, because Harden's contract was going to be huge. We're talking like he was going to push like $60 million. And I think he knows that. I think he knows that Morey was going to give him and extend him so they could have the Harden and Embiid pairing for a few years. But as you can see, let's go back. As you can see by the cap sheet here from Brooklyn, Simmons is not going to be making. He's going to be making $20 million less than Harden probably will be in 2024-25. So how much will that be, kind of a difference maker for the team being able to move forward as far as flexibility? I really hope that Joe Harris comes back and that he's good and he's good from his injury. I think that would be great because you would get two great shooters, another solid shooter in Patty Mills. Like, there's fun things that can happen with Brooklyn. It is obviously sad that they lose Harden, but I ultimately think they're in a good spot regardless. So these two future firsts, they'll be able to fit them in to their payroll pretty easily. Obviously, the 2027 one, who knows where we'll be in 2027. But this next pick, they'll get a late first rounder, and that'll be nice for them. And then they can use that to be able to move forward with bringing in a young prospect as well. So I also didn't even mention Kessler Edwards, who had been getting minutes from the Nets as well. So all in all, I think this is probably as good of a trade as you could find. I want to give it an A. I'm going to give it an A-, surely just because the Sixers are in your division. You're probably going to see them. I mean, probably. You're likely going to see them in the playoffs. But then that likeliness also is going to jump up a lot because you might see them in the first round. So, I don't know. I still hope that Simmons comes in and he plays well. I think we need Kyrie to be fully healthy in order to really be able to judge this team, because a Durant and Simmons pairing in the front court is interesting, but I don't really think that that's going to get it done as opposed to having KD and Harden when Kyrie's gone. However, we have heard that the New Jersey area has changed up some of their COVID mandates, so maybe New York is going to follow suit here soon. And we'll see, because maybe Kyrie's back. And if Kyrie's back, if this team is fully healthy, because this is the thing, everyone wants to talk about how, the Nets don't have their players and Kyrie's going to be, hurt, or not hurt. KD is hurt, but Kyrie's not playing home games and they're not going to be able to win in the playoffs. Look, the playoffs are more than 2 months away. 2 months ago, obviously, we were getting crazy stuff COVID-wise. I think you're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel in the sense of these COVID mandates in different areas around the country. So, we'll see. I mean, everyone wants to hold their hat on, and Kyrie's not going to be available in home games. Okay, what if he is? Because I think there's a strong possibility that he is. Or maybe he just gets vaccinated. I know those are really low chances, but there's still chances. And I would have never thought that this would have happened. So maybe something crazy happens to Brooklyn's favor in that regard. Anyway, that's it for the video today. I give the Nets a A- for the deal. I think it's as good as you can get. I'm really excited to see the actions that they use Simmons in. I wonder if he's just more than just like your average big. I think there's some fun things that can come from this. I think Nash is smart enough. I think they also have Mike D'Antoni on their coaching staff. I think they can do things with Simmons that can make this really interesting. Anyway, we'll see. He also is a better defender than James Harden. So, subscribe to the channel. comment on the video, like all that fun stuff. We are doing more videos here, so feel free to check them out. If there's any trade information you want, we're gonna have it here soon. So yeah, we'll see you later.